Okay, so you're looking at three different problems that we've got on the screen, and one of them is to convert. You've got 5x plus 3y equal 15, and we want to convert that into that form there where we've got y equals mx plus c. That's sort of what we're used to. So this is a little bit different in that I've got x and y on the same side of the equal sign. And we need to be able to change that so that it's in the y equals mx plus c form. And that's useful because we're kind of familiar with the y equals mx plus c, as well as it tells us what the gradient is by looking at it. So if you look at 5x plus 3y equals 15, you can't tell by looking at that where the gradient is or what the gradient is or where the y-intercept is. So changing it into the other form makes it a little bit easier for us. So to go ahead and do that, we basically solve the equation for y. So we make y the subject of the equation. So we'll go ahead and do that. And I might just shift some of that stuff out of the way for now and give us some room, and we'll have a go at it. So the first thing to do is to subtract 5x from both sides of the equation. Remember, I'm going to end up with y equals something. So subtracting 5x from both sides gives me y is equal to negative 5x plus 15. So I'm just writing that negative 5x at the front rather than going 15 minus 5x. You could have done that too, but that's just the way of doing it. And the next thing to do is to divide everything by 3 to get rid of that 3 out at the front of the y. So we divide that by 3, and that by 3. And of course, those 3's cancel there. So we're left with y is equal to negative 5 over 3x, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. And that's it done. So it's just a matter, you already knew how to do this. It's just a matter of, making y the subject. Now we can see what the gradient is. So there, what's the gradient? Well, the gradient is negative 5 over 3. There it is. Oop, here it is there. Negative 5 over 3. That's m. And our y-intercept is 5. It's actually also another way in which we can sketch the graph too. If you don't like using the intercept method, we can just rewrite that, and now we're good to go with the method that we're sort of used to for doing this. So let's look at the next problem, and I've got something else in the way. I'll just move that out. See whether we can do that. Just slip that all down a little bit. And have a go at this. What is the gradient of 4x minus 7y plus 14 is equal to 0? Well, to work out the gradient of this, again, we just need to make y the subject. So we'll go and do what we did before and make y the subject by subtracting 4x from both sides of the equation. And if I do that, I get negative 7y plus 14 is equal to negative 4x. I'm also just going to subtract 14 from both sides, so that I just get that negative 7y by itself, and I get negative 4x minus 14. And then lastly, we divide everything through by negative 7. And therefore, I get y is equal to, now negative divided by negative gives me a positive, so that's 4 over 7x, right? Those two negatives cancel out here, so it's important just to note that they go, it's convenient, as do these ones, okay? So it becomes plus, and 14 divided by 7 over 2. And so what is the gradient? Well, we've picked it off. The gradient really is there, so it's 4 over 7. We can just finish by writing m is equal to 4 over 7. Notice that this plus 2 actually has got nothing to do with the gradient. So we actually didn't need to bother with that at all. We've kind of done it. We've gone and written it as y equals. But if the question just what is the gradient, you can sort of forget about it. It doesn't matter. You can just not do it and just focus on the x's and y's. You can sort of cross it out from the start and say, I'm not going to worry with that 14, because that 14, all it does is it lifts the graph up or down. Okay, it doesn't affect the gradient of the line. So we can just ignore it here, ignore it there, and you'll still get the gradient of 4 over 7. However, most of the time, it's not too much extra bother, and often we're interested in what that intercept is anyway, so we tend to go and do it. Let's look at the last one. Here we want to convert y is equal to 2 over 5x plus 3 over 5 to the ax plus by plus c is equal to 0 form. Now that, by the way, is what we started with. So we've had, this is that form, okay? Although it's got equal to 15. But if I move the 15 to the other side and it's got negative 15 equals 0, then we'd be there. Effectively, we're saying write it in such a form so that I've got x and y on the same side, and we'll put that c there too. We often want to do this to avoid fractions. So here I've got fractions, I've got 2/5 x and I've got 3 over 5. So to remove that fraction, we tend to rewrite that in that other form. Now notice that the denominator of these fractions is 5, okay? So both of them is 5. If there's different denominators, then we would work with the lowest common multiple. But in this case, the lowest common multiple is 5. We've just got a single fraction. And what we're going to do is to multiply everything through by that denominator. So the whole equation gets multiplied through by 5. So we get 5y, 5 times 2/5 x. That's in the wrong place, move. And we get 2 times 5 times, concentrate, 5 times 3 over 5. These 5 over 5 cancel, as we'd expect them to, and we get 5y is equal to 2x, and then plus 3. Okay, that's a horrible looking 3. I'm going to start again with that. Go away. Much tidier. So we have 5y is equal to 2x plus 3. Now the last thing to do is just to shift everything over to the left-hand side. And so we subtract 2x from both sides. Right. Subtract 2x, so I get negative 2x plus 5y is equal to 3. And then the last thing we'll do, I'm just going to write it over the side there. I'm going to subtract both sides by 3. I get negative 2x plus 5y minus 3 is equal to 0, and we're done. Okay, so we've achieved that format. There's your, if you look at it, there's my x and y and the other number all on that side of the equation. One thing we might do, and you might see that, is that because we don't like to start something with a negative number, I might swap the y and the x around and write it like that. And that's fine too, so there's no problem with that. Either of those two are okay. Okay, but usually we start with x and then y. However, it's not wrong to have it the other way too.